All right, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over membrane potential and the Nernst equation. So this is basically very basic. I want to do a more advanced one in my next video. So I want to tell you the story first. So if you're going to take physiology for the first time, usually in a university, what I'm going to go over is something you should already know before going to the class. They don't spend much time on this, or actually in my class, they didn't even spend time at all on this. They did spend time on the Nernst equation, but the basic membrane potential stuff you should already know going to the class. Don't worry, it's really basic, but we're going to go over it, really slowly, just in case you've never heard of this. So in the cell, so we're going to have a cell here. We're concerned about there's many ions, in our body, but we're only really concerned about three of them for now. Okay, that is, potassium. You got sodium, and we got chloride. Okay, those are the three that are present in the cell and outside around the cell. So these are the only three we actually care about right now. So what you need to know is that there is an abundance of potassium inside the cell compared to outside the cell. So this is the cell, right? And around the cell, there's not that much. There's only a little bit. This is by nature. For every single cell in our body, this is how it is. In the cell, a lot of potassium. Outside the cell, not too much. For sodium, it's the opposite. Outside the cell, there's so much sodium floating around. It's like, it's crazy. There's a lot of it compared to inside. Okay. Inside, there's not too much. So it's literally like the reverse of potassium. Okay. For the chloride, it's exactly the same as sodium. There's a lot outside, hardly any inside. By nature, for every cell, no matter what. Okay. Now there's something you need to know. There's something called resting membrane potential. Okay, resting membrane potential. Okay, this is when the cell is relaxed. The cell's not doing anything. There's no electricity running through the cell. It's not like contracting or anything like that. Like your muscle cell, right? If it's contracting, it needs to use electricity to do so, whatnot. But when it's calm like this, when it's in this natural state with a lot of potassium inside, not too much sodium and chloride inside, it's called resting membrane potential. And the resting membrane potential is negative 65 millivolts or negative 70 millivolts. Each textbook is different, or it could be even negative 60. Every textbook is different. I learned it by negative 65 millivolts. It really does not matter. It really does not matter. On the test, you can literally put any of these three numbers and it's fine. I don't know. Textbooks are weird, okay? So that's the resting membrane potential, okay? When everything's normal, when the cell is relaxed, right? It could be any of these three numbers. I usually do negative 65. That's just how I learned it. But yeah. Now, how does it maintain this, right? This concentration of a lot of potassium inside, not too much sodium inside, right? So how do we maintain this negative 65 millivolts? Well, there's something called the sodium potassium pump. Okay, I am not going to go over the mechanism of how it works in this video. I will in a later video, but I'll just go over the real basics. Maintains resting membrane potential. So what happens is, say we got some sodium accumulated inside, right? So what this pump is going to do, it's going to pump 3 sodiums outside the cell, and exchange is going to pump 2 potassiums inside the cell to maintain this gradient of a lot of potassium inside and a lot of sodium. So what do I mean by this pump, right? So it's like a protein structure, right, on the side of the cell. Now, every cell has this, okay? And I'm going to draw a very basic picture. That's not what it looks like. But what we're doing is we're pumping 3 sodiums outside, and then we're pumping 2 potassiums inside. Now, don't get confused about how many potassium, sodiums, and chlorides I wrote here. This is just an example. There's millions. Okay, I just, for the sake of this, for space, I just wrote that many. So this is constantly happening, 24/7, right? This 3 sodiums outside, 2 potassium inside. Now, what you need to understand is that, do you see how there's a lot of sodiums outside in, there's not that many inside, but there's a lot of potassiums inside? Okay, so sodium by nature does not want to go outside because the process of diffusion, right? There's too many sodiums out there. So the sodium is like, wait a second, I don't want to go out there. I want to stay inside the cell because there's not that many of me in here. And I want to stay inside the cell. The potassium is also saying the same thing. They're like, wait a second, hold up. There's a lot of potassiums inside the cell. Why am I going towards them? I want to stay outside where there's hardly any of me, right? So we're basically shoving them outside using ATP. Okay, that's the key, right? We need to use ATP, okay, for this to work. If we don't have ATP, this pump doesn't work. Okay, so that's the very basics of that. I'm not going to go more into depth with that. I will go in a later video. But now let's talk about equilibrium potential. Okay, so I'm going to put a new thing and let's rotate this. Okay, equilibrium potential. So this is a term you need to know. Equilibrium. Can I spell? Equilibrium potential. Okay. What this is in the cell, this is when there is no net movement of ions. Okay. No net movement in ions. What does this mean? I want to explain it in a very simple way, is that when all the ions are comfortable of where they are at, okay? Basically, when I say no net movement in ions, there are ions still moving. They're constantly moving, but it's always balanced out by other ions coming inside or outside, right? There's a balance, and that balance is maintained. It's a little complicated, but you don't really need to know that much. What we need to know is the next part. So there's something called the Nernst equation. Nernst equation. Okay, this is named after a guy named Vidar Nernst. It's not Walter. It looks like Walter, but it's Vidar. He's a German chemist. Walter Nernst. I just said Walter. Vidar Nernst. Okay, he's a German chemist, and he actually helped create the third law of thermodynamics, with this equation. Funny enough. So, what does this equation entail? Okay, so I want to go by slowly, but I'm going to write the equation. What it says is the E ion equals RT ZF natural log of ion outside, ion inside. Okay, I know this looks scary, but don't worry. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, so say if I have a potassium ion, okay, in the cell, and I want to know where does potassium, where does it favor? What's the equilibrium potential of potassium? Okay, so this is what it's saying is equilibrium potential. We're going to define all these terms. Equilibrium potential of a certain ion. What does that mean? Okay, so say in our cell, the specific ion, potassium, likes to stay comfortable at negative 70 millivolts. Pretend. Okay, that means there's no potassiums moving in or out, right? There's a net movement of potassium. It's not one, it likes to stay there. It's comfortable, okay, at that voltage. So it's a voltage. Okay, so it's a voltage. I will go over an example. This will make more sense. Okay, what is R? R is the gas constant, which is, and don't worry, you don't really need to remember this. There's a reason why, and I'll show you. And that's joules per mole, kilomole. Then we have temperature. So temperature is easy. Usually they're going to give it into Kelvin, or in a problem they'll say, okay, the temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, right? You cannot plug in 37 here. You need to convert to Kelvin, and to convert to Kelvin is 273 plus whatever Celsius temperature you were given. And that would equal the temp, the correct temp. Z is the valence constant. What does that mean? Okay, so you probably remember from chemistry, right? Certain ions have certain charges, right? So sodium is plus, right? There's an invisible 1 here. Oops. Potassium is a plus, right? 1. We don't write the 1 because it's just 1. Calcium is 2 plus. Okay, we're not going to worry about that right now. There's a reason I'm bringing this up. So this is 1, okay? So this term literally does not matter when you're dealing with sodium, potassium, or chloride, or something that has a 1, right? Just a plus or a minus. Okay, so even chloride, right, has a minus. There's a minus. You write it as chloride, chloride minus, just a minus. There's a secret 1 there. And that's what the 1 is, that's what it resembles, right? So now F is the Faraday constant. Faraday constant. Now, before you click away, I want to tell you there's a way easier trick to doing this. You don't have to remember any of this, really, not much. Let's just see okay, then it's times the natural log of the ion concentration outside to the ion concentration inside. Okay? So there's the easier way of doing this, like I said. The easy way of doing this is, say you were given on a test, the temperature, this now will only work for 37 degrees Celsius. Why? Okay, 37 degrees Celsius is normal human body temperature. Okay, this trick will only work with 37 degrees Celsius. No temperature other than that. With this trick, we literally erase everything. We just literally go is E ion equals 61, I know, random, times the log of ion concentration outside, ion concentration inside, divided by inside. Boom. That's it. It's literally that easy. This 37 degrees cancels all of this, basically. And the Z doesn't matter because the Z matters if we're dealing with calcium. So pretend on the test, sorry, there's a helicopter going by. I live right next to a hospital, so they have like helicopters flying in all the time. Say if the test or the professor asked, find the equilibrium potential of calcium. Okay, then this changes. All it is you're dividing this by 2. Because calcium is 2 plus, right? Say if you have iron, which is 3 plus? I think it's 3 plus or 2 plus. Whatever. Iron is, whatever the numbers here is where you're going to plug in, okay? Okay. But for this case, we're not doing that. So let's do an example. Okay. Say if we had a problem. This is something you would see on a test. A cell has potassium concentration of 5 millimoles outside and 150 millimoles inside. The temperature temp is 37 degrees Celsius. Calculate the E ion or equilibrium potential of potassium. Okay, what do we do? Well, we're going to use our little trick here because we said 37 degrees, right? We're going to use this equation. Okay, so that would be E ion equals 61 log. Now, you have to be careful here. Its outside is in the top and inside concentration is on the bottom. Okay, there's a very certain circumstance where that is different, but this is, for right now, I'll show you when that is different. So we said that 5 millimoles outside, sorry, over 150. Okay, how do you plug in this into the calculator? Okay, you have to make sure you do 61 times log, where's the log? I'm doing this on my calculator with you guys. 5 divided by 150, whatever's under the parentheses. Okay, you should get negative 90 volts. Actually, millivolts. Okay, this is the voltage at where potassium is comfortable at. It really likes to stay at this concentration, or not concentration, this voltage. Okay, so say if for example, say if we had a cell here, right, and the voltage of the cell is, say, negative 87. Potassium, see how it's positively charged? It will want to go outside the cell, not inside, outside, because it's positively charged. So if you take out positive charges outside, this inside becomes more negative, right? If potassium is positively charged, we're taking out positives, we're putting it outside, this will cause the voltage to change to like negative 90, and it's comfortable there. Then there's going to be no more movement. Okay. Now, when is this outside-inside rule different? Okay. If you are dealing with something with a negative charge, like chloride, for example, see the chloride has negative charge, you swap the ion outside-inside. So the equation would be E ion equals 61 log, and you flip-flop it. Ion inside, ion outside. Very important. You usually will be asked this on a test, and a lot of people get this wrong because they forget to flip it. Right? What this chloride is, what it is like -1. Okay, the -1 is like the inverse, right? It's like an inverse. We learned that in whatever algebra, whatever, right? You take you swap it, flip-flop it. That's literally what it is. And then you would get whatever answer. Same thing. That's all you do. Flip it, reverse it. So that concludes membrane potential and Nernst equation. So the next video, I want to do more complicated examples, but I'll also go over the Goldman equation as well, Goldman-Cass equation. All right, thank you for listening.